Okay, now we've finished the rhythm section. We're now going to move on to the main solo, which is going to be performed over the rhythm section that we've just covered. So what I'll do is I'm just going to play the solo to the backing track, and then after that we'll break the solo down. So here we go. Okay, now we're going to look at breaking down the solo. I'm just going to take the first section, which is a D minor ascending arpeggio lick, which covers 3 octaves. Sounds pretty scary, but really it isn't. The first 2 strings are the same, so because we've tuned the E string down to D, we've got another D string, which is within string skipping distance, which isn't too difficult. Plus the fact that on the bottom string you can play exactly the same thing as you can on the D string. So I'll just do like a small demonstration just to kind of get you started. So we're going to be starting on the 12th fret, hammering on the 15th fret, and then tapping 19, and then doing exactly the same thing. Skip over the A, hammer on 12, hammer on 15, tap 19. Pull off to 15, pull off to 12, tap 19, pull off to 15, and then pull off to 12. And then we'll just do this as like a repeating lick so you can get used to the technique. So let me just play it slow for you so you can see how it sounds. Okay, I'll try and play that a little bit quicker for you and a bit cleaner as well. Okay, so with that technique, just practice it slow, and then when you have it, when you feel comfortable with it, just kind of speed it up. And then the actual lick from the solo shouldn't be too much difficult to bring in one other string, because you kind of will have been getting used to the one string string skip. So when we get to the D string, we're then going to skip the G and B string, and then go to the high E string, which is kind of going to be the biggest string skip that we're going to be doing in this solo. In fact, any solo on this DVD. So I'll go through the pattern, which I've been using for this first arpeggio section. I'll go through it slowly for you. So it's going to be 12th fret on the E, hammer on 15, tap 19, skip over the A string, hammer on 12, hammer on 15, and then tap 19. And then we're going to play that again. So far we've got... Let me just play that for you again. Then we're going to skip over the G and the B string, and we're going to hammer on the 10th fret on the high E string, then hammer on 13, and then tap 17, pull off to 13, pull off to 10 on high E string. Then we're going to tap 19 on the D, pull off to 15 on the D, and then 12, and then repeat that again. Then come back and play or tap 19 on the bottom D or E string, pull off to 15, and then pull off to 12. So that's the whole pattern of the lick. The only thing that changes the second time round is instead of going to 10, 13 and 17 on the high E string, you're then going to play 13, 17 and 22 down that way. So let me just play through the whole lick for you from start to finish, so you can just see how it's been put together. Okay, I'll just try that a little bit quicker for you. Okay, the key with that is to try and get it as cleanly as possible, preferably at a slow tempo, and then speed it up. Sometimes it's a bit difficult with tapping, you know, sometimes you need to, you know, get a little bit of speed behind it for it to sound cleaner, if that makes any sense. Sometimes playing things slow, you know, because you've got like hands moving slower, and, you know, if you're playing things a little bit quicker, you don't tend to get that kind of, you know, string scraping and all that kind of thing. So, you know, sometimes you get other strings, they want to kind of play at the same time. So when you got a little bit of speed behind it, that kind of doesn't really happen. Okay, this next section of the solo is going to start by using a string skipping pentatonic idea. I think the best thing to do would probably just to play it and then break it down, and we'll go through it. Okay, the actual part in the solo doesn't go on for that long, but that's just to kind of outline the technique that is involved with this part of the solo. The notes are just going to be starting from the 10th fret on the D string. So we're going to have 10th fret on the D, 12th fret, and then 15. So it's a bit of a stretch. So you might want to kind of bring your thumb down a bit more behind the neck, just to give you a bit more finger length. Yeah, so basically we're just going to be playing 10, 12 and 15 on the D, skipping over the G string, and then just playing the 10th fret on the B. Okay, the actual pattern for the solo is going to go 10, 12, 15, 10 on the B string, then 15 on the D, 10 on the B, then 15 on the D, 12, 10, 12, 15, 10 on the B, 15, 12, 10, 12, 15, 10, 15, 10, 15, 12, 10. Okay, so let me just play that a little bit. Well, I'll play it slow for you in its entirety, and then I'll speed it up a little bit so you can see how it sounds. Okay, I'll play that a little bit quicker for you. Okay, after that we're going to ascend back up how we've just been playing that lick. So we're going to go back up 10, 12, 15 on the D, skip over the G string, and then hit the 10th fret, 13, and then 15 on the B. Now, I mean, it's entirely up to you how you want to play this, but I mean, I tend to kind of use my first, second and third fingers because they're a bit stronger for that kind of thing. So but it's probably more logical for people to use 10, 12, 15, and then 10, 13 with the third finger, and then 15 with the little finger. I mean, it's entirely up to you. For some reason, my third and fourth fingers don't really like working together. I don't know why. I think it's probably because I've got a weird double joint in my little finger or something. So I kind of had to develop a bit of a stretch between my first and second finger so I could use those three fingers a lot more. So the end of the other lick that we were doing goes 10, 12, 15, skipping over the G onto the B, 10, 13, 15, and then you're barring your third finger to then hit the 15 on the high E, so you're going to do this. So that'll be on an upstroke as well, so. I mean, the picking for this, because you're going to be hopefully getting up to a fairly quick tempo with it. Most of it's legato, so you're going to pick the first note, hammer on 2 and 3. Then when you get to the B string, you're going to play an upstroke and then hammer on the next two notes. And then play an upstroke when you get to that barred note on the 15th fret on the E string. So you're going to have... Then you're going to come back on yourself. So you'll play 15 on high E, then you'll play 15, 13 and 10 on the B, then hammer on 13 on the B, then bar your third finger and play fret 13 on the high E, and then you're going to come back down again onto 13, pull off to 10, then you're going to slide down to 8, hammer on 10, then bar onto the 10th fret on the high E, then go back to the 10th fret on the B, pull off to fret 8, slide from 8 to 10, then hammer on to 13, bar your third finger to play 13 on the high E, and then slide your first finger from 10 to 13, then bend 15 on the high E, a whole step, and then pick it when you get to the top of the note, down to its original pitch, and then play 13, and then slightly curl it, so you'll play the note, and then sort of push it up slightly and then kill it. And the way to do that is just to sort of catch it with your right hand, so you'll go, and then your last note will be 15 on the B, and then that will conclude that part of the lick. So, and also that last note you can give it a bit of welly and get some nice vibrato on there. So I'll just play that whole section for you slow, so you can see how it sounds, and then I'll play it a bit quicker, and then hopefully up to the tempo of the track. Okay, I'll play that a little bit quicker for you. And up to speed. Okay, now we're moving on to the next part of the solo. We're going to be moving from the 15th, 13th and 15th fret bit that we've just done, and we're going to be going up to the 20th fret. I think the best thing to do will probably just play the next part, and then we'll break it down. Okay, we're going to be starting the next part of the solo on a blues lick, starting up on the 20th fret on the high E string. So we're going to bend that all the way up, then we're going to let it down, pick 17 on the E, and then move to the B string, play 20, 18, then move to the G and play 19, 17, and then do like a sort of like a little half bend on fret 18 on the B string, and then finish that part of the lick on fret 19 on the G. So let me just play that for you so you can hear how that sounds. Let me play that for you again. Okay, the next part of the solo is going to start on the 14th fret on the G, and you're going to play 14, 17, 12, 14, and then a little curl on fret 10, and then we'll finish on the 12th fret on the D string. So this is going to be the phrasing for it. Okay, so you're going to be bending 14 slightly on that as well, so you'll be... So it's kind of a little half bend on 14, and then when it gets to a certain point, we'll sort of like palm mute it with our right hand, and then play 17. Then go down to 12, play 14, then 10, little curl, and then on to 12. So... Okay, then that leads nicely into this next part of the lick, which I'll just play and then we'll break down. Okay, so it's a quick 4 notes. So we're picking, hammering on, starting from the 10th fret on the A string. So we're going to play, and then we're going to do the same thing on the D string. So we've got... I mean, in itself is actually quite a good exercise if you want to just get used to doing pick, hammer on, pick, hammer on. So you could just do that back and forth. So those are the first 4 notes. And then we've got a half bend on fret 9 on the G string. So you pick it once, bend it up to fret 10, well, the sound of fret 10, then let it down to its original pitch, and then come back and finish that little lick on fret 10 on the D string. So again, we've got this. So let me just play the main solo from that section up on the 20th fret, and so you can hear how it all sounds together. Okay, now we're going to come to the last part of the next solo section that I played, and we're going to play the 8th fret, hammer on 12, then we're going to skip over the A string and go to the G string, and then pick the 9th fret, hammer on the 10th fret, then skip over the B string, pick fret 8 on the high E string, pick fret 12 on the high E string, and then finish up on the 10 on the high E. So we've got this. So let me play that for you a bit slower. And one more time. Okay, so let me just play that whole phrase for you again, just so you can see how it's all been put together and what it sounds like. Okay, so now we're going to look at the next part of the solo, which is just going to be quite a bit of bending, especially on the 15th fret on the high E. So let me just play it for you, and then you can get a feel for what we're going to be doing. Okay, this next section of the lick is going to start on fret 10 on the B string. Going to play that with a downstroke. Then we're going to move to the high E string on the 13th fret and play an upstroke. Then come back to the B string and play a downstroke on the 13th fret. So it's going to sound like this. The fingering for this, you might want to use your first finger on the 10th fret on the B, then go to the 13th fret on the high E with your third finger, and then kind of move your first finger across. The reason for that is because then we're going to use our third finger to then bend up fret 15, you know, so you can get in position a lot easier. Okay, so when we bend up 15, we're gonna do a sort of like whole bend, so we'll get up to the sound of fret 17. And then when we reach the top of the note, we kind of pick slowly, so we're letting the note down gently. So. Then at the end, we're just going to play 13 on the high E, 15 on the B, and then 13 on the B as well. And then bend 15 up a whole step again. And then tremolo pick it. So it's just going to be a series of down, up strokes to sort of try and get that as quick as possible. It doesn't have to be like mega fast or anything like that. It's just more of an expression thing. So the whole lick in its entirety should go. Okay, I'd just like to point out also on that lick, especially with the bending and stuff, it's really up to you how you want to phrase it. Sometimes it will change every time I play it. It's slightly different. It's never the same. So, you know, I might let the bend down a bit more one time than I do another time. And the picking might not be, you know, as consistent. It just depends on how you feel at the time. You know, so it's kind of, you know, if I'm kind of, you know, you might want to pick that that bend coming down a bit faster or even slower. Then you might only want to pick the last note a few times, or you might want to just go absolutely mad and go. You know, it's entirely up to you how you want to do that. Okay, right, the next part of the lick is going to be like a kind of mega sort of pull-off fest, if you like. We're just going to start off on the 15th fret on the high E string, and then you're going to hammer on your third finger onto the 17th fret, and then pull off to the 15th fret, and then pull off to 13. So you're going to... And then you're going to hammer on the 17th fret on the B string as well. So you're going to have 15, hammer on 17, pull off to 15, pull off to 13 on the high E, then hammer on fret 17 on the B. This is actually a good exercise to kind of build your legato technique up. Again, it's entirely up to you what fingers you want to use. Some people might want to use their little finger, but for me, my kind of down pressure on the B string when I change strings is a lot greater with my third finger than it is with my little finger. So I can get like more pressure, and it's a cleaner sound that way. So, and it's, you know, it's good practice as well, because you're not really picking. It's all pull-offs and hammer on. Well, one hammer on, or possibly two. Yeah, two. There we go. But most of it's pulling off. And then picking, you've just got one downstroke. So yeah, you know, once you get that up to a reasonable speed, it's actually a really cool lick. You know, you can do that on its own, and it sounds like mega fast. So the next thing, we're just going to be moving that up the E string. So now we're going to be using exactly the same technique, except our middle finger is going to be starting on the high 17th fret on high E rather than on the 15th fret. I'm going to then hammer on fret 20, pull off to 17, pull off to 15, and then hammer on fret 20 on the B, so it's going to sound like this. And then again, we're going to do that same technique, but a bit higher up the neck this time. So our middle finger is now going to be on the 20th fret. And then we're going to be hammering on to the 22nd fret, pulling off to the 20th fret, pulling off to the 17th fret, and then hammering on 22nd fret on the B. So that's going to sound like this. Okay, and when you put those three together, I'll try this slow. Again, this is one of those things that if you get a bit more speed up, it's a bit cleaner and sounds a bit more fluid. But I'll do it at a slow tempo and then speed it up. And then, yeah, you can do a bend on the 20th fret to make it sound like fret 22 on the high E. So let me just play that a little bit quicker for you. And a little bit quicker. Okay, this next section of the solo is going to start with a blues lick that isn't going to be the first time it's going to appear on this DVD, mixed in with some string skipping arpeggios as well. Again, I'll play the lick and then we'll break it down. Okay, let's break that section down into smaller sections. So let's just look at the lick before the arpeggios. It's going to start with a bend on the 13th fret on the B string. And then as I'm pushing that up, my second finger is now on the 12th fret to then play to let it down. So I'm going to do this. And then that's the next part of the lick. So we're going to look at playing the 10th fret on the G, 12th fret on the D, 10 on the G again, 12 on the G, 14 on the G, 10 with a little bit of a curl, and then the 12th fret on the D. So that whole lick. Okay, the next part of the solo is just a D minor string skipping lick, which just starts on the 12th fret on the D. Then you play 10 on the G, 14 on the G. Then you skip over the B string and play 10 on the high E. Then play 13 on the high E. And then pull off to 10 again, so you're going to have this. Okay, picking for this is just going to start with a downstroke on 12, up on 10, then hammer on 14. So you've got two downstrokes in a row, so you're going to have down, up, hammer on, skip over the B, and then you'll have an upstroke on the 10th fret, and then hammer on 13, and then pull off to 10 again. So let me just play that for you again. Again, one of these licks you can isolate on its own and practice, so you can practice going up and down using the same picking. So what you do for that is you play down, up, hammer on, up, hammer on, up, hammer on, pull off, and then a downstroke. So you go. And that picking, you know, it's a kind of rough guide as well. You know, if you want to kind of pick it a little differently, and if you're feeling that that's not very comfortable for you to do, and there's another way that you prefer to do it, then, you know, by all means try that way. Because at the end of the day, getting to grips with this stuff, you know, is one thing, but you have to kind of feel comfortable at the same time doing it. Otherwise, you know, when you do get up to speed, it's not going to feel that natural to do. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, right, so we're going to move on to the next set of arpeggios. So I'll just play both these back to back because it kind of makes more sense that way. And then we'll break it down and have a look at the sequence. Okay, right, now we're going to look at the first arpeggio out of the two that I've just played. We're going to start on the 17th fret on the high E string, and then we're going to pull off the 13. So we're going to then skip over the B string, and then play fret 17 on the G. Then we're going to go back on ourselves and play 13 on the high E, then play 17 on the G, pull off to 14 on the G, then we're going to play 17 on the G, 14 on the G, and then we're going to play 15 on the D. So I'll just play that again for you. Okay, and to tail that arpeggio off, we're just going to go back to 14 on the G, and then hammer on 17, skip over the B, pick 13, hammer on 17, pull off to 13, pick 17, and then pull off to 14. So that whole section. Okay, now for the second arpeggio, we're going to do the same picking pattern, well, the same pattern with the left hand, and hopefully same picking pattern as well, but just the notes are different. So we're going to start on this one, on 15, then pull off to 12, then skip over the B string and play 15th fret on the G, so we're going to do this. Then go back over the B string, play the 12th fret on the high E, then skip over the B again, play 15 on the G, then 12 on the G. Then we're going to play 15 on the G, 12 on the G again, and then 13 on the D. So we're going to have this. Actually, sorry, no, that last note is on the 13th fret on the D and not the 12th. So let me just try that again for you. Okay, and to tail off that lick, we're going to go back to the 12th fret on the G, hammer on 15, skip over the B string, pick the 12th fret on the high E string, then play 15 on the high E, pull off to 12, skip over the B, play 15 on the G, and then pull off to 12. Okay, so let me just play that arpeggio for you from start to finish. Okay, now we'll join the two arpeggios together and see what that sounds like. And then the last part to round off the lick is going to play 13 on the high E, 12 on the high E, and then bend up 13 on the B a whole step to make it sound like 15. So that whole arpeggio section with those last three notes, sorry. Okay, let me play that a little bit quicker for you. Okay, now we're going to finish the solo up with the last run, which is all picked. You'll be pleased to know. But it's not too bad. It's just going to be like harmonic minor sort of sound. So I'll just play through it and then we'll break it down and have a look. Okay, this last section is going to be all alternate picked, starting on a downstroke. So we're just going to play, starting on the 17th fret on the B string. So we're going to play 17, 15, 14, 15, 17, then move to the E string, 13, 15, 17, 15, 13, then move to the B string again, 17, 15, 14, 15, 17, 15, 14. Then we're moving to the G string and playing 15, 14, 12, 14, 15, 14, 12. Then we're playing, moving to the D string, so we're going to have 15, 14, then 12, then 14, 15, 14, 12. And then finishing up on 11. So let me just play that through slow for you. And a little bit quicker. And up to speed. Okay, so we've reached the end of the song Underworld, and there's definitely a lot to get through rhythmically and from a solo point of view. The little excerpts that were set aside to kind of get used to the techniques, just learn them slow and then speed them up. But don't worry, take some of these ideas away and apply them to your own playing, whether you're in a band or just jamming in your room or whatever, and just basically have fun with it.